Valtteri Bottas is experiencing something for the first time in Formula 1. After 9 seasons, almost 200 races and 10 Grand Prix victories, Bottas is finally top dog at a team. It's partly a result of circumstance joining Alfa Romeo alongside F1 rookie Zhou Guanyu, but it's also by design. 5 seasons as Lewis Hamilton's wingman at Mercedes left Bottas in need of a change, and just a few races in, there's already a noticeable difference. Reuniting with his old junior single-seater team boss Frederic Vasseur gave Bottas the chance to be the focal point at Alfa Romeo. Having been part of the band at Mercedes, helping the team win 5 consecutive constructors' titles, now Bottas is the frontman. Okay, it's not going to yield the same results, even though Alfa Romeo has started 2022 not that far behind Mercedes, and Bottas has actually out-qualified at least one Mercedes at 3 of the first 4 events. But with effectively a new job description, Bottas has a new lease of life. He joined on a multi-year deal, which is already something Mercedes would never give him. Bottas was always kept on single-year deals, so he had to earn a renewal each season, which he always felt held him back in some way. Now he has the confidence that he's building a longer-term project, and the way he can make the team his own is another key difference to his past experience. Bottas told us that he now feels like he has proper authority at Alfa Romeo and has an influence that Mercedes couldn't or wouldn't give him before. He's guiding Alfa Romeo on setup tests and run plans, and feels like his input into future mechanical or aerodynamic developments is considered high priority. Bottas describes it as not just being a driver, but an important team member. Of course, there are different ways to be and feel important. Senior Mercedes personnel like Hamilton or team principal Toto Wolff spent years extolling the virtues of having Bottas in their team and underlying the vital role he played in its unbroken run of Constructors' Championships. Bottas brought the best out of Hamilton and internally was a constructive rather than destructive force. So of course Bottas was an important team member at Mercedes, and he knows that. There's certainly no indication he feels the team actively undermined him or didn't appreciate his contribution or anything like that. But he also knows his value to Alfa Romeo is greater than it was to Mercedes. He was in Hamilton's shadow there. There was a natural gravity within the team towards its 7-time world champion, and Bottas said it was always quite difficult to really step up, describing Hamilton as quite a dominant person. The upshot, Bottas says, is simply that it was pretty clear that I couldn't have the same role there as what I have here. Bottas has no hard feelings and has also made his peace with being exposed alongside Hamilton at Mercedes, admitting he just wasn't on his level often enough. It's hardly a crime to fall short against one of the greatest drivers in F1 history, so the Alfa Romeo move was all about Bottas putting himself first and doing what was best for him. That's clearly paying off, as Bottas says he now just feels a bit happier in life overall. Before we look a bit further into why Bottas is so happy at Alfa Romeo and how it's bringing out the best in him, we wanted to pause to ask a quick favour. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of our videos in the future, press subscribe as well. It really makes a difference to us. We've got loads planned throughout the rest of the 2022 season, and we'd love to have you on board for the ride. If this is as much as Bottas could have hoped for with his new beginning, it's a source of relief in some ways for Alfa Romeo. The Sauber-run organisation sacrificed 2021 with a view to maximising this year's new technical regulations, and bringing in Bottas on a handsomely rewarding salary without a doubt was another part of its big bet on 2022 and beyond. Everything team boss Fred Vasseur has seen so far has rewarded those decisions, and Bottas' performance is certainly part of that. Vasseur reckons that Bottas is underrated, having suffered in the shadow of Hamilton for a few years. Now he says Bottas is doing an excellent job and thriving with his new increased stature. Bottas has always been praised for his teamwork, so it's no great surprise to see the interest he has taken in helping F1 rookie Zhou get up to speed as quickly as possible. There is a basic level of decency about this, as Bottas is ultimately a decent person, but there's also a degree of self-interest. He understands that he needs to be supportive to help Zhou make the best start to the season possible and get him to a level that he is really contributing to the cause. This mentoring role was something Vasseur discussed with Bottas over the winter, but was something Bottas needed no convincing over. It stems from Bottas' experience at Mercedes. He has spoken previously of how he learned about the value of having the right working culture in a team and wanted to bring that with him to Alfa Romeo. In pre-season, for example, Bottas talked about being a motivational force. That has been met with action, such as protecting the team with positive comments in the wake of its reliability struggles in testing, or making an effort to introduce himself to staff members during trips to Sauber's headquarters in Switzerland. There's more to leading a team than just being the lead car in qualifying or a Grand Prix. The example must be set on track. Star drivers send a message to the rest of the team: build me the best car you can, and this is what I can do with it. Had Alfa Romeo's current Achilles heel, reliability, not undermined it in Saudi Arabia, Bottas would have had 4 points finishes from the opening 4 races of the 2022 season. He already has more points than the team managed in the last 2 years combined, and at the time of making this video, sits just 1 place and 4 points behind Hamilton in the championship. When we asked Bottas if this is the best case scenario he could have realistically imagined, he replied, "Yes, in terms of the baseline performance we have, absolutely. I definitely hoped that it would be a step from previous years, but actually, it's a decent step. And being pretty much able to fight with Mercedes, for example, that's maybe beyond what I could think of." Bottas's 5th place in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix was Alfa Romeo's best result in 2.5 years. But it's possible the team could have ended its near decade-long absence from the podium had 2 key moments in the race not gone against it. Bottas finished just 6 tenths behind his Mercedes successor George Russell, having spent the closing laps trying unsuccessfully to pass him, while McLaren driver Lando Norris was a further 8 seconds up the road in 3rd. Unfortunately for Bottas, he fell behind Russell on the first lap, only as a result of hitting the back of Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren after he collided with Carlos Sainz's Ferrari. Bottas also lost around 9 seconds to a cross-threaded front right wheel nut in his pit stop. The first setback not only let Russell past, but also undid the work Bottas did in the sprint race, finishing 7th after passing Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso and Kevin Magnussen to recover from a poor start. That sprint race fightback showed the inherent race pace of the Alfa Romeo, as did Bottas's chase of Russell in the Grand Prix. From laps 27 to 51, Bottas gained an average of 0.451 seconds per lap on Russell to close to within a couple of seconds of the Mercedes. He was also on average 4 tenths quicker than Norris. But whether this really hinted at a missed podium is hard to say. Bottas didn't get into DRS range of Russell until the end of lap 57, and ultimately he couldn't pass him. Plus, the McLaren comparison might be misleading, as when Bottas was catching Russell in free air, he had a strong incentive to gain time, whereas Norris simply had to consolidate a strong position and was in time management mode. But it's at least an indication of how much stronger Alfa Romeo is in 2022, given discussions about narrowly missed results usually focused on failing to break into the points, not asking whether a podium was possible. A top 3 finish looks like being Bottas and Alfa Romeo's big target for this season, and it's clearly not a crazy goal. So where might the next big opportunity be? The Alfa Romeo is strongest in slow speed corners, although works well at medium speed too, with work to be done on rear stability at high speed. With a glint in his eye, Bottas told us that he's really looking forward to Monaco. He doesn't have the best record on the streets of Monte Carlo, but that's a bit misleading, as circumstances have gone against him, chiefly suffering from poor pit stops in 2019 and 2021. Maybe that's Bottas's best chance to grab a landmark result with his new team, but it might not be the only opportunity this year, and even if a podium ultimately eludes him, there are some big results on the table. When talking last year about what he could achieve at Alfa Romeo, Bottas always said that the best thing about F1 is that you never know what's going to happen. But even he admits that his fresh start in F1 is going really well, and it's certainly at the upper end of what he could realistically have expected.